Becoming an adult is so weird. Becoming an adult that manages and leads their lives is so weird. I am saying that because I just had a flashback to a moment where I was at work one time. I was working in corporate America. Excuse me, never again will I ever work in an environment as such. I was working in a corporate office, and there was no cubicles. All right, there was this open concept, which you would think would be cool. It's not. It's not. You have no privacy, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't. It was trash. I won't mention the name of the company. I'm not trying to do that. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to express how weird it is to become an adult that advocates for themselves, that goes from having a child mindset into an adult mindset. What is that? What is that in between? Right? Because when you're a child, you are taught right from wrong, you are led, you are guided, you are fed with information, and you take it as such. Now, some children are a little bit more rebellious and they question everything and they go, well, why do we do that? Why? And depending on the parent or the caretaker, the relationship would be one of mutual respect and really, thorough understanding to the capacity that the child has. Or it could be like, this is what I say, this is how it's gonna be because I said so. So, the dynamics can be very different depending on the household, right? But as you get older, right, you take all that you learned, absorbed, experienced, were taught, guided with into your adulthood. And for me, becoming an adult and using my voice to express a lack of respect or an admiration or advocacy, self-promotion to express your worth as well as your boundaries. There's so many nuance in the way that we communicate, and becoming an adult is essentially your growth in communication, because no longer are you having an adult, a caretaker, do the communicating for you. You are that for you. And to switch roles, so to speak, is a very interesting transition. I found myself, I'm being super honest, a memory had resurfaced that made me really upset. Very, very upset thinking about it now. This happened a few years ago. And upset because there's a part of me, and some would say that what I'm thinking and this exercise is not important, a lack of, what is it? A waste of time. It's a waste of time. I don't think so. Sometimes when we go back into our memories, especially ones that still trigger a uncomfortable emotion, I think it's important to look at it and ask yourself, why is this making me uncomfortable? Why am I upset or sad? Why am I feeling this? And how would I now handle it then? Also, what is the meaning that I have given it? And do I want to continue to keep having it that meaning? Or do I want to change the meaning? Because that's what's in our control. We can't change what has happened, but we can change how we feel and the meaning behind what had happened. And I think that's really powerful, and I don't think enough of us do that to change the realities that we've experienced. It's a very complex and in-depth process, and essentially also what you do in therapy. So essentially going back to a memory of mine, and this is pretty raw. So this is like off the cuff, off the dome. So I'm in I don't even know, how old was I? I think, okay, there's a coworker that I work there with that I'm still friends with, an acquaintance. I think I was 26 at the time, 25, 26. And I had just graduated college maybe a couple years ago and had started living on my own just a couple years ago. So I had just entered adulthood, and that means I had just really started to be my own advocate, right? And so I'm in this corporate office, and long story short, I won't give you the whole details of it, but the manager that I was told had a very specific and unique nickname. And not just one person called her this, everybody called her this. She was called El Diablo, the devil, like literally the devil. And because she was, well, not a good person. And at the time, my naive, loving, childlike mind that I still do have, but has been filled with more experiences, was like, you guys just don't realize that, you're not approaching her properly. Here's the thing. If one person says it, all right, okay. But if many people say it, there's got to be something to it. That doesn't mean they're correct. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. But take what people say, especially if a group is saying it, especially a group of your peers is saying something, and they're all in agreement with, take what they're saying with a grain of salt. There's some truth to it, okay? Because if multiple different people are having the same experience or feelings around something, that doesn't mean that they're all wrong or they're all right, but there's something to it, okay? So I completely, honestly disregarded what was told to me and said, I'm gonna befriend her, and I'm gonna use my people skills. I'm gonna use the books that I've read to soften this little devil. Again, I was very young, and I thought that now with this newfound knowledge of people skills, how to win friends and influence people, I could influence this woman. And at first it seemed like I was. And people noticed, and people even said to me, Sasha, be careful. And I was like, again, kind of disregard. I was like, I hear you, but you don't got the skills I have. The arrogance of a 20-year-old. So a particular day, the two managers in between she and I were not in the office. They usually coach me, and I was having a little bit of a difficult time with these tasks, and they were working with me. So one day, that day specifically, a whole bunch of things that normally don't ever happen. I had a meeting with HR for like 45 minutes. It was like a check-in. Little did I know then, what I know now is, you having a check-in with HR? You're probably not doing so well. But I didn't know that at the time. Also, HR ain't your friend. Let's just side note, HR ain't your friend. They're there for the company's well-being, not the employee's well-being. They're preventing an uprise, so to speak. Anyways, moving right along. So, yeah, long story short, this grown-ass woman, I mean like probably in like late 40s, maybe early 50s, comes around, and with no regard, no social intelligence, no emotional intelligence, complete power trip, yells at me about my performance in front of everyone. Now, unfortunately, the Sasha then felt the need that, if I explain myself, she'll calm down. Absolutely not. And, I think back at that time, and I'm like, man, if that was me now, there would be no explaining. There'd be no explaining at all for my performance. Not the way she, approached me, There'd be a silence, a stare, and I would stand up and direct her to her office to have a private conversation. No need for me to yell. No need for me to physically confront her. Not like, physical altercation wise, but to non-verbally let her know that what she's doing is wildly inappropriate, and it needs to be finished in her office, period, or somewhere else. But then I just did not have the emotional capacity and the intellectual and physical and social skills to navigate such a juggernaut, a tank of an immature person, right? Now, and also I didn't even know the power that I had. That's the thing, like, so many of us don't know our power in social situations, legally speaking, and a lot of people get away with things. But then I think to myself, Sasha, don't be hard on yourself. Like, you didn't know then what you know now. So give yourself grace, first. Second, you believe in karma. Karma has always been your friend in all of its capacity, both in correcting your behavior, but also in correcting other people's behavior without you having to do anything, really. And so that day, I went into her office, and I said to her, I understand why you felt how you felt, but don't speak to me that way. And I said this to her privately. Now, I'm grateful that I'm not a hothead, but a part of me feels like I could be. I'm being so honest with you. If I let myself go to that place, it's unhinged. I have gotten to places where I've gotten angry and, quote unquote, defended myself. I am not a rational person. It's all emotion. It's all emotion because I'm defending myself from tyranny, from attacks. And I'm someone who seems to be perceived as gentle and soft and loving, which I am. But what people don't understand is people like me hold back the beast that lives within, because we know the damage that has been done, can be done, will be done, and we don't see the value in it. We know it's there, but we keep it at bay. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but there are times where I want to unleash it. And for a moment, I let my imagination and myself be free to just go there. But then I ask myself, is this going to lead me to what I ultimately want? And usually, thus far, with the specific situations in my life where I consider letting my inner beast out, it's been a no. No, it's not worth it. I have yet to find it useful. But if and when the situation calls for it, I will, and I have, momentarily let it out. Don't take people like me for granted. There is a cause and effect to everything in this world, whether you're aware of it or not. Gravity still exists, whether you're aware of it or not. What goes up must come down, whether you know that or not. Be kind to people. You have no idea what people have locked up inside of them and consciously choose not to let out, because the destruction it will bring is not worth the effort. And that takes a lot of self-control self-discipline, and an overall holistic perspective on what matters most. Love, peace, community, friendship, forgiveness. These aspects of us are seen with such reverence, but when embodied in someone, many people see it as weak. And what an absolute tragedy that is. To know the truth, yet let your ego manipulate you into thinking otherwise. It's a daily conscious living for a lot of us. A lot of us are absolutely awake, see and feel a lot, and manage all of that energy within this body. I can go further but be kind to people. Even if you're having a shit day, and I get it. We all have our days where they're shitty for various reasons. But don't let your shit, don't smear your shit on somebody else. It's not fair. And also can cause you more of a shitty day, of a shitty existence. You know, as I'm talking, like, I think to myself, she must have been so miserable. Like, miserable. And I'm imagining that there are people in her life that either have or will cause her emotional harm. And that's the thing, some people are so blind to their insidious habits and behaviors and just think that that's how life is. And they're in pain. Pain that we may not know of, but they feel deeply. And they may not even know it either, but they are in that hell of their own making. And they drag other people into that hell with them. It's very unfortunate. It is. And even though my 25, 26-year-old self didn't have the intelligence, the abilities that I currently have, I'm grateful that I have the type of spirit to be respectful enough to privately have a conversation with someone about their bad behaviors. I know what it is to publicly accuse or air out someone's dirty laundry. It doesn't get you what you want. What you want is to be loved, to be respected, to be protected, to be enjoyed. And wrath, perhaps maybe momentarily could bring you those things, but not in the long term.